So here I've got another Cambridge Audio amplifier then, the CXA80, and we've seen these before. Obviously got a problem here, and if we power on from the standby, it goes through the routine, and then we get a repetitive single flash on the front display there. And we spoke about the error codes before and how the error circuitry's a bit over complicated really, and it can lead us astray. But the single flash here indicates there's a DC problem, so we'll that's our starting point, I guess. But I suppose the first thing is let's get the covers off and we'll see what we've got inside. Here we are then, and I think twice about looking at these amplifiers. They actually sound quite nice, but when you look inside, the construction is pretty primitive, and they're just a nightmare to work on. You know, if you want to get to this bottom board here, you've got to take everything apart, and it just takes forever. There's 7 boards in here altogether and cables everywhere. Now, the owner of this one had said that they'd previously taken it to Richard Sounds here in the UK. They seem to be a rep for repairs and things like that. And they had apparently changed this main board here. The main board comes all the way around here. They apparently changed that, didn't fix the fault, and this sort of said it didn't make economic sense beyond that. Now, I'm looking at this and I can see that main board's never been touched. It's never been removed. You know, there's dust in places there shouldn't be. If it was a new board, I can see the transistor mounts, the silicon seal, etc. It's never been touched. And I can see some other issues that we'll zoom in on in a second that will tell us this board's never been changed. So let's do that. Let's just zoom in a bit closer and we'll see what we've already found in here. So this caught my eye immediately when I looked inside here. We've got this power resistor, and it's usually sort of glued to the main board. You know, you see we've got this kind of adhesive around some of the capacitors and things like that, just to stop them vibrating, and that's a good thing. And there's usually the same over these power resistors. But when I look at these ones, there's been something there, but it's obviously a different material, and it's disintegrated. And if we lift that power resistor to the side, what we see is that whatever's been on that has kind of corroded these components on the main board. And then there's this transistor here, and this is it's one of the current sources, or part of one of the current sources anyway. And I can see that whatever this stuff has eroded away one of the pins on that transistor. And we can see that there's kind of scratch marks on the board there. So certainly someone's been in here and they've kind of scraped around here. But when you see this kind of damage going on, you know, that it tells you that board's never been replaced. All that's happened here is somebody's had a scrape around, they've found that the pins or one of these pins is broken, and they stopped at that point. Obviously they've realised everything's now got to come apart, that main board's got to come out. And so this is on one side. If we move over and we look at the other channel, there's our power resistor again here, and it's exactly the same thing. If we pull it back, we see the same kind of corrosion on the board, and then there's another transistor here, different function on this channel, and the pin on that again is kind of rotted away with whatever's been going on here, and again we can see the scrape marks where someone's been in here before. So it's been looked at and someone's just given up. Unfortunately, it means now I've got to take this main board out. I was hoping it was going to be, you know, the problem was going to be in one of those smaller boards, but this is just how it goes. So anyway, now we need to, you know, there's nothing to measure here. It's a case of we just need to get in here and get that board out. We'll change these parts and see where that leads us. Okay, after a bunch of wrestling then the board's free and we can take a closer look at what's going on. And I can see some other areas where this adhesive's caused some corrosion as well. There's a couple of op amps here. I think that this is our balanced input, and there's some circuitry here where the same things kind of happened. There's no kind of permanent damage there. but obviously there's something funny in the formula of that adhesive that's caused some issues with this unit. So I think the next thing, this is the area we looked at where our transistors are broken. And so I'm just going to take out these parts, we'll clean up the board, and I'm going to we'll have to measure everything else around here, and hopefully there's, you know, this defect hasn't damaged anything else. But first thing is we'll get these parts out and clean everything up. So here's the parts on this side out the board, and you can see you know, everything's just disintegrated here. The legs and these guys are all eroded to nothing. So, and also the other side on the PCB, some of the traces are eroded away, so a wee bit of work to tidy that up. Here we are then, we've cleaned everything up around here and changed these parts, done that on both sides. So what we'll do now is we'll just loosely install that main board again and connect everything up as much as we need to, and we'll power up, see if we've had a result based on these changes we've made here. Alright, so the unit's connected to the mains now, and we're sitting in standby here, and if we power up from there, we can see that we've got a result here. The unit's quite stable, powering up, going through its routine quite normally, and I can change my inputs and all that kind of stuff. So we need to put some signals through it now just to check all the signal paths are fine. So I'll go and do that and maybe install these boards a bit more completely, and we'll come back and see how the thing sounds. Here's our CXA80 all back together then. It's all working okay, and obviously not a lot of technical content in this video, just some curious behaviour with that adhesive there that's caused some erosion and just destroyed those parts. The thing is though, this is not going to be an example of one. You know, there's going to be other units that show this same behaviour, so it's just something to watch out for. And also a bit disappointing, you know, this unit was looked at before, and some feedback given to the owner that wasn't entirely accurate. But there we go, it's all working now. So let's, as I mentioned before, these are actually very nice sounding amplifiers. Despite how they're made, they sound very nice. So let's have a listen. It's hanging